You might think that there's not much of a connection between Mountains Beyond Mountains, the book by Tracy Kidder, and my discipline as a geologist, but in actuality I see a lot of strong connections between the two. The most important theme the book raises for me is the issue of how our government's foreign policy really shapes the relative wealth of other nations. All of the descriptions that the writer gives of the various development projects that helped American companies with their investments, as opposed to the people of Haiti that were billed as development projects, that were supposed to be helping the people of Haiti. All of the descriptions that he gives of American CIA involvement in the coup, all the descriptions of even the immigration policy choices that the U.S. government made. To me, all of those were a sort of running theme throughout the book in terms of raising questions about the responsibility that each individual American citizen has for taking responsibility for those actions and their impact on the people of Haiti. As a geoscientist, I see the stark contrast in the relative wealth of nations play out most vividly in the impact that natural disasters have on those different countries. Most recently, there was a pretty strong earthquake that hit Haiti on January 12th, 2010, and it killed almost 250,000 people. However, there was a very similar event just about 6 weeks later that occurred in Chile that only killed 507 people. And so that's a pretty stark contrast in terms of how prepared those societies are, which really stems from a lot of the issues that are explored in the book as far as the poverty of the people and how that contributes to their inability to incorporate engineering concepts that most developed countries really have employed to deter the effects of earthquakes. Most of the people who die in natural disasters, at least in earthquakes, aren't killed by the actual earthquake itself. They're killed by the building that collapses around them. And so in Haiti, most of the structures were unreinforced masonry and very sort of cheaply built, and a lot of those collapses were what contributed to the high death toll. I also see a strong connection between the story of Mountains Beyond Mountains and my own general training as a scientist. The descriptions that are given of Dr. Paul Farmer's training in medical school and as a scholar, pouring through the literature looking for other instances that he could use to put his research in context, resonate with my own experience. And I think this book is a very valuable window into the world of scientific scholarship, as well as the world of medicine. And it could be very useful for students who are considering either career path. It's a window into another culture, for one thing, and it's also a very gripping story of one individual trying to make a difference among very powerful forces, multinational corporations, big governments, mainstream sort of science in terms of the way things are done, and medicine. So in a way, it's a hopeful story in the sense that somebody can fight against those currents, really, and establish new methodologies that can really help people.